Married at First Sight, Season 14, Episode 5. This video is for Katina and Olajuwon. Check my description box for the other videos. For the other couples, I do separate videos. I'm dropping them all day long. By the end of the day, they should all be up. And also subscribe because you'll get the alert of when I drop them. But let's get into it. At the top of every show, I like to say where I stand on the couples. Last week, I told you guys I was all in on Katina and Olajuwon. And let me tell you, it has changed. But you know how it's changed? I'm more than all the way in. I am up to my forehead being in with these two couples. And let me tell you something. I'm going to go a step further. This might actually be one of the best matches on Married at First Sight history. Yep, I said it. Yeah, I said it. I know a lot of people are going to be mad about that because a lot of people don't like Olajuwon. I think Olajuwon is triggering a lot of women out here because, you know, Olajuwon is the Olajuwons and the Isaacs of the world have done some damage out in these streets. And I could see how a lot of women couldn't give a guy like Olajuwon a second chance. But you know what? Call me naive or whatever else. I never had no Olajuwons in my life, so I really don't have no trauma I need to work through. I ain't triggered or nothing like that. And let me tell you, I am loving these two couples, and they make for some good TV. I'm telling you guys, I had so many emotions from this episode. A couple of times I wanted to snatch up Olajuwon, then I wanted to hug him. A couple of times I wanted to protect Katina. Then, girl, I wanted to unleash her. But let me tell you, I cried, I laughed, I smiled. You know, a couple of times I cringed. You know, but it was a roller coaster of emotions. But in the end, I just love their story. And I wish, to be honest with you, we could get rid of a couple of these other couples and I could have watched Olajuwon and Katina for about an hour. So our first break starts off with, you know, they wake up in the morning in the bed. And, you know, Olajuwon wakes up, hey, beautiful, hey, beautiful. Let me tell you, one thing about being an ex-playboy, you are a charmer. You know how to say all the right things and put all the candy in a girl's ear. And you know what? Olajuwon is starting to use his talents for good. Instead of using his talents for evil, like he might have been doing in the Isaac days, he's starting to use his talents for good. And you know what? It's a good skill. It's a good talent because he's like, hey, what's up, beautiful? He's like, did I do better with the cuddle game? And she's like, no, you didn't do better with the cuddle game. But you know what I like about them? They have this sort of friendly banter. They're able to call each other on their BS, but they're able to do it in a light-hearted way, which I'm going to tell you another couple who doesn't know how to do that. Watch that video. But anyway, that's one of the things that I like about these two. So once again, they start talking about, you know, sort of a sensitive subject, but in a light way. So Katina starts talking about how Olajuwon sweats too much. And let me tell you, these are the common married day things that actually people go through. These sort of small things. You know, single people don't realize that once you get married, you think it's all these big things, but it ends up coming down to a lot of small little things. And here's one of them right here. And I'm not saying it's small, but what she's basically saying is her husband sweats too much. And she's like, he might need to get some Botox put up under them arms because I'm not going to be up under them arms with all those sweaty armpits. You know what? That is so real. So that was really cute. But the way she was saying it was that it's a serious subject. We're going to have to figure this out. But she was doing it in a laughing and joking manner, which I like about these two. So anyway, then they switch to this scene where they're going to the gym and they're working out together. And, you know, basically Olajuwon is being like a gym tyrant. I guess, you know, he's this big gym rat. Okay, we get it, Olajuwon, you're a gym rat. And we can kind of see that Katina, she may work out, but she ain't lifting no weight. She ain't doing that. She looks like she's, you know, more naturally thin, probably has a good metabolism. Get it, girl. And, you know, so I don't really think she's in the gym lifting weights. So this is all new to her. And so Olajuwon knows that he can look at her and tell that even though, you know, she looks fit, she ain't no gym rat. So he takes her to the gym, lift these weights, do this, do these burpees, stop smiling. I mean, he's like a drill sergeant at the gym. So this is one of those situations where I'm like, you know what? Olajuwon is making me mad. He's making me cringe. Why is he being so hard on, you know, Katina? And so then, you know, they do this sort of pan away, like the little side interview. And Katina said, you know what? If I were in my 20s, if this were the time when I've been in my 20s, I probably would have cried over this situation. And I like what she said because I probably can say the same thing, Katina. If I were a young person and a guy started treating me like that, I think I would have a completely different reaction than I did in my older years. And what she was saying was, you know what? She doesn't like what he's doing, but the way she's going to handle it is going to be different from when she was 20. And what we find out is later on, she did talk to Olajuwon about it, and I'm quite sure she got him straight. Maybe she didn't want to do it on camera. Maybe she didn't want to cause no tiff on camera and cause a big fight with him, which I like about her. But I can tell she got them all the way together, because Olajuwon later comes on and talks about, oh, yeah, you know, he acts like he was kind of testing her. Oh, I was testing her to see if she's real and if she's just going to go along with everything. But you know what? She came back and she spoke up and she told me, you know, Elijah, I don't know if you was just testing her or not, but let me tell you, whatever you was doing, she got you together. And that's all that matters. So you know not to do it again. So anyway, they get ready to go on this boat ride, and, you know, they're kind of, you know, Bonnie and Clyde, they talking about what's going to be our strategy on this boat ride with Lindsay, because, you know, both of us don't even, you know, we don't F with her. We don't like her. So their strategy becomes, hey, let's just stay cool. Let's not get into it. If anything goes down, let's just walk away. And he said, yeah, you know, she's already sent me a text of apology of what happened on the plane. He's like, I'm cool. So this becomes Bonnie and Clyde's plan going into the boat ride, is to stay cool and to walk away and don't get in no mess. I like it. They had a game plan. This is what couples do. Couples sit at home, they strategize, they get a game plan, and then they go out in the world and they try to stick to that game plan. But as we find out later, Katina couldn't stick to the game plan. So anyway, they go on this boat ride, and let me tell you, this becomes the epic read of the day, where Katina falls off the wagon. She deviates from the game plan she and Olajuwon has, and she delivers an epic read to Lindsay. So the way it went down, and we actually end up getting a backstory from the after party. So I'm gonna integrate that into the actual, this part I'm narrating or commenting on right now, because it wasn't actually shown all in the, you know, the episode. You actually had to get some backstory from the after party, which I'm gonna do a video on that too. But anyway, so the way it goes down is they're on the boat. So Lindsay brings up what happened on the plane. Lindsay starts the story in the middle. This is what I don't like about people like Lindsay, people who are narcissists or people who are shit starters. They never start the stories at the beginning. They start the stories in the middle, where they've been aggrieved, not where they've been the perpetrator. Like I told you last week, Lindsay's a shit starter, but she always starts the story when she was hurt. So Lindsay starts telling the story that she was triggered on the plane. And we already found out from Mark the Shark that Lindsay had already had 3 bottles of wine. So now we even know more of why Lindsay was so off the chain on the plane, that even the airline flight attendants had to try to settle her down. So she doesn't tell all that, but she starts talking about how she's triggered by Olajuwon, and she starts going on with this story. So Katina, at first, she tries to stick to the plan. She tried to stick to the plan she and her husband had. So she said, you know what? I can't listen to this. I'm getting up and going, because I promised my husband I wasn't going to get into it. So she gets up and she walks away. But of course, she walks away and Lindsay's still chatting in the background, and she hears that chatter and she says, hell to the no. Katina doubles back and says, oh no, I'm not my husband, and I'm going to be myself. Katina comes back and tells Lindsay, listen, first of all, you are too old to be acting this way. You are 35 years old. Maybe if you was 2, 3, or 4, then maybe I care about it. But right now, I don't care about your feelings. Katina says, you like to play the victim and cry. You always talk about you're the victim, but you're the one that starts stuff, and then you want to play the victim, and then you want to cry. And she basically was reading her to the ground. She says, you poke. You're manipulative, and then you want to play the victim. You know, in the after party, even Katina started talking about saying, listen, I am married to a black man. And let me tell you, when a white woman starts screaming foul like she did in the airport, talking about you want to fight me, what Katina basically said is, I'm going to step in for my husband, because I'm not going to let my husband get in the middle of a man on a woman, a black man on a white woman type of thing. I understand what Katina was saying. She said, so you're right. I'm going to step in it. So basically, she read Lindsay to the ground. You know, Lindsay's like, you're so rude. She goes, I don't care if I'm rude. You're manipulative. It was an epic scene. And you know what? I was here for it. I was cheering on Katina. I was like, get her, Katina. Get her, Katina. Of course, Lindsay's, tears are coming to her eyes. But, once again, here's this Bonnie and Clyde stuff that I love about Katina and Olajuwon. Katina was like, absolutely not. You're not going to get away and get to tell this story any version you want, and it's not the truth. You're not going to sit over here and try to make me look bad or my husband look bad when you're the one that started everything. Like I said, a professional shit starter. So everybody there is just sitting there going, oh my goodness, Jasmina is there and everything. She tries to intervene a little bit and tell Lindsay how, which her version of the story is wrong. But it made for some good TV, and I was here for it. Then the next thing we have is they are now on the boat still, but they're all sort of couples. And then they start doing this whole thing they did last year, this truth or dare, or bringing out truth about couples. And next thing I know, I see Olajuwon asking questions. I said, like, are they going to make him try to make him the Gill of the year? Every year, these shows try to have someone who brings out all the drama in the couples. And last year, they used Gill to do that. And this year, they let Olajuwon take the reins. So Olajuwon is, let's play truth or dare. Let's ask these questions from different people. They asked questions about cheating, who's cheated. They asked all these sort of different questions. And so then we start getting into the wild, I call them the wild Isaac stories. So Isaac, Olajuwon reveals that in his past, he not only has had, threesomes, but he also says he has slept with a mother and the daughter. And everyone was, jaws dropped. We were like, oh. And I mean to tell you, I cringed. I cringed, not from just hearing the story. I cringed for Katina, because these are the type of stories you do not want your husband telling in an open setting with a bunch of people. Oh my goodness. It was such a cringy story. So I'm going to tell you the story because they didn't really get into the story in the episode, but they got into it in the after party. So here's how the story goes. So the story goes that Olajuwon tells is that his cousin, who's a female, was dating a guy. And the guy was really disrespectful to his cousin. So he felt the guy wasn't a good guy. He says one time he was out with his cousin, who's the female, and they run into the mother of the guy that his cousin is dating or has dated or whatever. And the guy tells Olajuwon, oh, like, this is my mother, but she tries to act like she's young. So she's a cougar. That's what we know what that is. So Olajuwon says, he tells the mother, oh, you're beautiful. You ought to let me take you out sometime. So Olajuwon says the mother ended up getting them a hotel room. And what he says is she brought to him a sex education class. We know what that means. Basically, they had sex. So then he tells a story that about a month later, he's at his cousin's house again, the female, and the daughter of the mother, which is also the sister of the guy, is also at the house. And he basically said that, it got late. They had been drinking. One thing led to another. And so he said he had a sex education class with the daughter. So basically, he taught the daughter what the mother taught him. It was a funny story. Still cringy, but funny. So that was a really funny, cringy moment on the boat. Then they start talking about who has had sex already. And, Olajuwon and Katina say they haven't had sex. And Olajuwon says he just wants to get to know Katina more mentally and everything. I know everybody probably thought that they were going to be the first ones to have sex, but no, they were not. And he was like, I just want to get to know my wife mentally. He says basically he's been physical with women all his life, so he's not in a rush to that. He starts talking about how he deleted his whole IG. And he basically is just saying, he really wants to just fall in love with Katina. So they get back to the room. Katina and Olajuwon get back to the room. And, there's a big heart on the bed, says KD. And he's basically saying, your new name is Katina Dickerson. So it's no longer, I don't know what Katina's last name is. And it's made in a heart. He's about to lather it on. He's about to bring out the candy for the ears. And so he's basically starts telling Katina she's her other half, the guardian angel. He is laying it on thick. He says, he just wants to be honest and truthful. It's so cute. A cute moment was he said, God brought us to it. And then right when he said God brought us to it, Katina chimes and says, and God's going to take us through it. And they say it at the same time. These two are already finishing each other's words. I just love their chemistry and the bond of what they're going on. I'm telling you, they're going to be one of the epic couples of Married at First Sight. Cute moment is all of a sudden Olajuwon starts repeating his vows from the wedding. I mean, verbatim. And if you remember at the wedding, Olajuwon didn't have any notes, and people were thought, oh, he didn't even write down anything. And I kept saying, oh no, his vows were very thoughtful. So now we actually find out Olajuwon memorized his vows, because let me tell you, he sat there or stood there in this scene and he said those vows the same way verbatim. He basically says, where have you been my whole life? You're standing here in front of me. I promise to be the best husband, honest and truthful, and I promise to protect you. Those were his vows. He stood there in front of Katina and said those vows again. Y'all, I am crying. I'm just like, oh my God, what a love story. He's saying, then off camera, Katina's like, this is everything I dreamt of. I just feel so happy. She's crying. She said, every girl should feel this. Every woman should feel this. And I feel you, Katina. That's the way I feel too. I feel every woman should feel the kind of love she's kind of feeling in that moment. Every woman should feel that at some point in their life. I agree. So he's like calling her his queen. She lays her down on the bed. He starts massaging her feet with some oil and everything. Girl, I mean, he is laying it on thick. And Katina said another sweet line. He goes, he is the sweetest to me. He may be sour to some people, but he's sweet to me. Another beautiful line. I love that line. She was like, he may be sour to some people, but he is sweet to me. And she's like, I think I'm falling in love, y'all. I think I'm falling in love. And she's just crying and boohooing and saying no one's ever done anything this romantic for her. And it was just a beautiful moment, you guys. I had so many emotions during their segment. It was up and down, like I said. But it was fantastic, and I am so all in on these folks. And let me tell you, there's some more I want to add to it, but you have to watch my after party video because I don't want to make this video too long. But watch my after party video. It's going to be up later on the day too, and I'll give you some more information on that as well. Talk to you later. Bye.